Good afternoon and hello, everyone. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Thank you for joining us for another Flycast Partners webinar. Today's webinar is on IT Service Management and IT Operations Management coming together, presented by David Roth and Daniel Cooper, both of OpsRamp. I want to welcome both of you, David and Daniel, and before we get started, let me introduce Flycast Partners. Flycast Partners is here to deliver a seriously amazing IT experience, founded and staffed by personnel that have many years of experience in the IT space. We took the best ideas from these collective experiences and added the best components necessary to grow and become a leading value-added reseller in the North American IT market. We offer best-in-class implementation services and training in IT service management, IT asset management, IT operations management, enterprise service management, and workload automation spaces using ITOM best practices. Our professional services can easily scale up or down to meet the IT needs of any customer, regardless of size, complexity, or budgetary restrictions. We offer implementation services both on-site and remote, as well as training to reinforce your company's long-term IT success. Our ongoing remote administration support service offerings will enable your organization to focus on those normal day-to-day operations, saving you both precious time and money. Feel free to reach out to us directly at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, or visit us on our website and chat with one of our IT specialists. They'll be more than happy to answer your questions Monday through Friday during normal business hours, or you can email us at info@flycastpartners.com. Check out our website for new and upcoming topics and webinars, as well as data sheets and white papers that may interest you. Share that with your coworkers and your friends. Check out the upcoming ITIL training that we have going on July 22nd through July 26th. Sign up. There's going to be 5 half days in the afternoon. It does include the ebook and the voucher for your test, so it's a very good value for what you're getting. During today's presentation, folks, I encourage you to please give us your questions. Type your questions in the Q&A section of this WebEx, and we'll be happy to go ahead and answer them throughout the webinar, making sure that we get your questions answered within the time allocated for today's presentation. So once again, go to the WebEx, go to the Q&A section, send me your questions. I'll read those off to Daniel and David throughout, and we'll make sure we get as many questions answered as we can throughout the day. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Daniel and David. Take it away, folks.
Thank you very much, Rich. I really appreciate you having us here today. It's fabulous to be able to partner and have such a great partnership with Flycast, so we can bring our audience these insights that can help improve your day to day. And I want to welcome everybody to the line. Thank you for joining us today. Hopefully, we can impart some wisdom to help you in your roles. So my name is David Roth. I lead solutions marketing for OpsRamp, and in that, my role is to really dig into our customers' needs and translate that to our product roadmap, our product team, so that we can shape our product roadmap and innovation forward, and to facilitate relationships like ours with Flycast partners today. Daniel Cooper, also on the line, who will jump in a little bit later. He leads our solutions consulting team, and in that, he leads solution consultants and architects to really help facilitate the dialogue with customers, to really help customers understand their opportunities in market, and to help drive efficiencies and streamline management and monitoring to improve governance within their infrastructure environment. Daniel has a wealth of experience in the ITSM world and is now leading the team within the ITOM world. So in today's webinar, what we're going to do is really talk about just what Rich introduced, the coming together of ITSM and ITOM practices. So over the years, there, time or whatever reasons, I'll get into some of those in a little bit, have kind of driven silos between the two organizations and tool sets we use and collaboration. But what we'll talk about today is we'll get into those causes of those silos, and also talk about the impacts of those silos, not only on the IT organization, but also within the business. What's the impact to the business? And then we'll talk about some features and functions to look out for when integrating your ITOM and ITSM tools, and when selecting an IT Ops tool as well. And then we'll get into some items to help you best sell your recommended solution within your business. So first off, what I want to do, the slide you see here is I want to set a framework for how we're referring to IT operations management and IT service management. And I know you're all in the business, but it's good to get a common definition so we're referring to the same things moving forward. IT service management, start with the one on the right, referred to as, this is the frontline team that has most interaction with the end customer, that being the business unit or the individuals within those business units in marketing, sales, operations. They're the face to the IT organization to that audience, focusing on the processes, the technology, and troubleshooting and remediating any incidents that might occur. And also, I should mention, escalating any incidents as well, which is key, as we'll get into, as it ties into the IT operations management role. Now, the IT operations management, or ITOM, or IT Ops, as you'll hear us refer to it, this team really focuses in on the uptime and availability of the systems and tools used to deliver those applications to the business unit. So the system health of servers, accessibility of databases, network health, so forth. Now, these teams have shared goals, right? Chances are you guys are on one of these teams or related to one of these teams, and you have shared goals with one another across these teams, that being uptime, delivering accessibility of applications and data to your business users, and fostering an environment of agility. You need to be able to respond to the business needs as they come and construct your IT operations in an agile manner so you can enable the business to be more agile and empower innovation in that way, adding value back to the business. And of course, we're all focused on customer experience. So that being customer experience delivered to your internal customers, as well as extended to your external, your end users, customers. You can flip the slide. So in understanding that these two organizations within IT, within one organization, have common shared goals, why have they grown to be so siloed in day-to-day operations? Now, it could be due to a number of reasons, political and territorial reasons notwithstanding, but some other real causes could be, as listed here, the increase in customer expectations and demands. Now, customers are also consumers, so it's difficult. Or our internal customers, our internal business units, they're also consumers. They expect things right away, just as we would, being a consumer, and so they take those relationships as a consumer into that business world and demand those same kind of immediate responses. They have goals and objectives to enable the business, so they're hard driving on IT to help assist. Another reason could be the another cause could be that the enterprise infrastructure within a typical enterprise has grown so very complex, especially in the last, I guess I could say 20 years, but especially in the last 10 years, as more and more companies are adopting hybrid cloud environments and other technologies and tools within the environment, it gets very complex to manage, govern, and maintain. And then another reason could be the specialized domain expertise of each individual within IT. As these enterprise IT environments have grown so complex, they require specialized expertise to manage those different areas. Now, with specialized expertise, you get different people speaking different languages, not understanding one another's responsibilities, possibly, which causes some challenges in simple day-to-day communication and collaboration and just trying to communicate the thorough details of an incident from one team to another. Another cause could be the quantity of specialized monitoring and management tools and how they've expanded. So as enterprise environments have become more complex, There's a tool to manage your network performance. There's a tool to manage your application performance, tool to manage your databases, tool to manage your servers, uptime, performance, and management, and so forth and so forth. There's even tools on top of those that could add value. So by simplifying that would really add value to your day-to-day, providing value to the business as well. We call this the swivel chair effect. It just causes wasted time on remediating tasks and efforts, and when you're trying to over-communicate with other teams, when you can otherwise automate those tasks. Now, these real challenges manifest in ways that result in impacting day-to-day responsibilities and promises that have been made to the business. Some resulting ways that these challenges can manifest could be lack of visibility across hybrid environments. If you don't know what infrastructure environment is supporting what application that might be having challenges, then how can you fix it? So being able to adequately map business service to the infrastructure would be really valuable. Delayed time to detect, resolve incidents. If you're gathering the team together into a war room, spending the time really digging in, you're spending a whole lot of resources to identify what we call root cause. So if you're unable to identify that root cause and remediate quickly, then you're holding the business back. And then ineffective prioritization of incident alerts. But if you're unable to map that incident back to the business service that's impacted, how could you otherwise prioritize how you might remediate that incident? So being able to have that transparency would be very valuable. And then, of course, inability to define, meet, and improve your SLAs that you're delivering to the business to be able to track how you're driving business value towards your business objectives. And so the causes, the results on the IT organization also have profound impact on the business. I won't go into too much detail on these, but you see here just loss of productivity. It's real world day-to-day experiences of that business end user trying to get access to an application or data or database and having to troubleshoot when they should otherwise be doing their day-to-day job. Wasted spend. If you're unable to track your environment, then you're unable to track your spend and conserve that spend. And then, of course, frustrated IT teams. This is a real challenge, and in a time when IT personnel is hard to find. They're in demand. And then on everybody's radar, of course, is regulatory, security, or policy gaps that may exist by not having the utmost visibility and manageability of your environment. You can flip to the next slide. So in bringing ITSM and ITOM or IT Ops together, you're able to uncover profound advantages for not only your IT organization, but as I mentioned earlier, the business, those business objectives that we're all aligned to. So some benefits of integrating your ITSM and IT Ops tools together would be you're able to contextualize your alert floods and the business services that are impacted. So by mapping or performing discovery in your environment from the infrastructure up to the business application and the business unit, using the infrastructure components or applications on those servers, you're able to then contextualize any alert flows that are coming in and map that back to the business service. You're able to pinpoint and isolate root cause incidents. So when a ticket comes into the service desk, you're able to very quickly, if not immediately, identify back to the server or network error or what it may be, to then remediate that incident more quickly. And therefore, you're able to prioritize your response to those impacts. Also, through that integration, you're able to automatically escalate incidents to the right subject matter expert that's needed to resolve that incident. So back all the way up to that, say, network admin that's responsible for the uptime and capacity of the network components, they're able to remediate that quickly because they receive that incident a whole lot quicker. And oftentimes with a lot of tools, particularly with OpsRamp, you're able to put in policy-driven automation scripts to automatically remediate those common incidents that might occur every night. You know, if there's and otherwise you're able to not have that human interaction or that might be required without automating those incidents. And then, of course, integrating ticketing and bidirectional communications. If a ticket comes into ITSM desk, your service desk manager keys in the details of the concern. That ticket needs to, and the thorough communication needs to be bidirectionally communicated into the IT Ops tool so that the IT admin can see that item, understand the challenge, and identify that root cause to help resolve it. And then also back to the ITSM team so that the service desk manager can then communicate out expectations to the business unit of when that service might be up. And of course, we want to get into a proactive role as IT managers. We want to be able to identify that challenge within the infrastructure and be proactive about alerting the business unit to a possible degradation of the quality of the services delivered and give them an ETA for when it may be improved. So with that, Danny, flip to the next slide. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Daniel to demonstrate some of these features and functionalities that are key in selecting an IT Ops tool for your organization.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, David, for running through that and kind of setting up what some of those challenges are that folks are seeing out there in these two different functions coming together. So again, my name is Daniel Cooper. I run the solution consulting organization for OpsRamp. But I've been kind of spending half my career in more of the ITSM focus areas and now getting into the IT operations management side. And really what I see is, like David mentioned, right, there's a coming together of those two functions. They're really two different sides of the same coin. So when we look at that, the whole goal of operations management is to ensure the health of your infrastructure and the health of everything that's making up your services. And the whole goal of service management is when that is having an issue, getting the right people involved to go and fix it, right? And so what we've been talking about so far and what we're going to show a little bit further is how do we take that entire thought process and streamline it from point A to point Z, right? How do we ensure that we're going out, discovering everything, monitoring everything, tying it back to business services, using some artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML, to do some of that work where you're correlating and finding root cause faster, notifying the right people at the right time, and then ultimately getting that thing, whatever it is, fixed and getting the service restored. So what we're going to kind of talk through today are these 5 use cases, and then I'm going to go right into a demonstration to walk you all through what this actually looks like in real life, right? So the first kind of use case that we look at is service health management. The critical piece here is being able to look at your services across the board. And so what that means is, in a lot of kind of siloed environments, you may have discovery and monitoring tools that proliferate your entire organization, right? You may be monitoring and discovering network devices separately from your VM environment, separately from any cloud environments you may have. And if you start introducing the new concepts of, serverless and Kubernetes and containers, that's probably a separate tool doing that. And the challenge with overall service health management when you're siloed like that is how do you get a full picture? How do you understand, hey, my service, regardless of what the underlying infrastructure components are, it looks like this. And that's really what we're going to drive towards, is being able to have unified discovery where you can see everything in one pane of glass, that old cliche saying, but being able to get a full look at it, see all of your live asset inventory, see your service performance and degradation orders, and then be able to click in and figure out what the problem is. The next piece is the AI ops and machine learning in the top middle there, that box. So this is, kind of all the buzz in the industry right now. Everyone wants to talk about AI. Well, what you need out of AI is really the ability to understand complex sets of data quickly, right? And get eyes on the right issues at the right time. And so a lot of times with more legacy type, monitoring and operations tools, what ends up happening is you get a flood of alerts that come in, and ESX host goes down with a bunch of VMs sitting on it. and you're just going to get a flood of alerts for that. Now, that doesn't tell the person trying to fix it anything of meaning, right? When you start to incorporate AI and machine learning, that's where you can start to say, hey, look, all of these are correlated, and here's the root cause, and let's go fix it. And that drives towards the incident response. Being able to say, hey, we've actually found the pinpointed cause of this issue that's taken down service A or degraded service A, and now we know that this team over here is the team that always fixes these types of issues, because again, we're using machine learning to identify that. Let's get it to that team, and let's have incident escalation policies that at certain breaches and thresholds that automatically sends it to the team that is known for working those. And then down at the bottom, what you'll see is here's where some of the additional automations come into play, right? So the ability to have scripts that automatically fire based on certain triggers, right? Service is unreachable. Let's just fire a script before we get someone involved to see if we can restart the service and fix the issue that way. Service remediation, that last bucket there, really is going towards remediation for any sort of infrastructure that is having an issue, right? To remediate a service again. This could be in the form of, again, those automated scripts being sent out, or it could also be things like remote access, right? Taking control, running command lines against something to try to get it back up and running. And the goal of all this is to do it from one centralized place, so you don't have the swivel chair effect, where you're going back and forth and you're working in multiple tools, and it gets more challenging. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting here, and we're going to dive right into a demonstration and kind of walk you guys through this. And just to set the playing field here, this is going to be obviously a very high-level demonstration, just to kind of give everyone on the call an understanding of what the IT operations and IT service management functions coming together can look like, and what that kind of end-to-end service health and availability could be in your organization. Now, obviously, we encourage you, if this is something of interest and you want to deep dive into this, we're more than happy to do that. We encourage you to connect with Flycast, and we'll get that going for you and go a little deeper. So today what I'm going to do is, again, just kind of cover this from a high level. So what you'll see here is the OpsRamp platform, and what we're looking at is just a dashboard to give us some service health. Now, keep in mind, this is a demonstration environment, so a lot of the details in here, right, you might see some demo data as we're going through this. A couple of quick hits. We're not going to go through all of this today, but we do have a lot of different things that make up this platform. We're going to go into some of these like infrastructure. Probably won't spend a ton of time on automation, but we do have the ability to run jobs, scripts, do patch management, all those kinds of things. Alerting, we'll spend some time in today, how alerts come in, how we correlate those alerts, use machine learning, inferences off of that. Service desk component. OpsRamp has a very lightweight service desk, and the whole key here, which we'll show today, is being able to identify when there is an incident that needs to be created and track that inside of OpsRamp, but simply just for the purpose of integrating with an ITSM solution. We'll talk more about that as we continue. And then reporting and knowledge base, we'll also go into. There's a little bit of background noise, so anyone that's not muted, if you could just please mute your line, I'd appreciate that. All right, so what we're looking at here in this top block, and this is just one of the dashboards that we have. This is the one we're going to focus in on, but a lot of dashboards come out of the box. What you'll see here is AI ops inferences. So this is where we're saying, hey, we had almost 2 million total events in this time period, and this is for a 1-year period. We had almost just over 700,000 alerts, but we were able to inference those, meaning we were able to get rid of the noise and the chaos and get it down to about 10,000 actual inferences that meant something to somebody, and we were able to obviously optimize that volume. So that's just kind of a quick hit, so we can always see, hey, what's the environment doing? What are we learning from here? Now, in this instance, we've got 3 services, which we're going to look at today. The first is an HR service. We can see that it's 85% uptime over the last year. We can see the status of it currently. It's currently up, which is good. We can see all of the different sub-services underneath that. And then lastly, we can see all of the service availability in the past that's been going on with this one. Additionally, we've got this portal services, which has been 100% up. And as you can see, right, it's 100% uptime for the last 4 hours. So all of these are changeable. And by the way, these dashboards are very configurable. You can drag and drop things to really make it look how you'd like. But the one we're going to key in on today is obviously the one that's in red, the one we're having an issue with, which is our enterprise ERP. So as you can see, it's currently down. The way you see that is it's red. And if I drill in here, this actually drills me into this particular service. Now I'm going to scroll out a little so we can see the whole service map and just kind of give you guys an example of this. But as I scroll back in, what you'll see is this is the logical representation of this service, right? So I've got my ERP service at the top. Underneath that, I've got some sub-services that make this up. And underneath that, I have additional sub-services. Now, the way that you should be looking at, operations management and mapping and topology and all these kinds of things is from the perspective of two different sides. The first is service availability, right? The importance of understanding what the health and maturity of the uptime of your services is this here. Now, this is more of again, a logical representation where there's parameters that are set and then it automatically starts to pull in those resources. Another thing which we're not going to touch a ton on today, except when we talk about correlation, is the ability to have topology mapping. Now, topology mapping is where you actually start to understand what's talking to what, right? So if this particular switch goes down, I know what's connected to it, and so I can automatically start to pinpoint root cause. And we actually use topology mapping for one of our correlations when we get into artificial intelligence, because what we want to understand is, hey, what's connected to what? And that helps us to, again, drive all the way back up to the actual business service to say, all this stuff went down, but what's the real impact of this to our end users? Because, again, customer service and customer success is our primary goal here. So I'm going to quickly just expand this. You can see, underneath here, I've got a MySQL cluster that has some issues. And if I drill into it, I can see what's going on here quickly at a glance. So I can see this cluster is down. There's 2 ticketed alerts, which we'll dive into in a little bit. But I can actually see the resource that's being impacted. So again, in just a couple of quick clicks from a dashboard where I saw something red, I'm able to drill down to the root cause and start to understand and troubleshoot what's going on here. So if I drill into this particular resource, I can see, some information around it, right? I can see the uptime. It hasn't been up all that much recently. It's got some patches that are missing, but maintenance there's no data, but the antivirus is up to date. Here, what we're seeing on the left is all the information about this resource. So if I drill into attributes, I can see all the information around what's going on here. If I go into installed software, I can see the software that's installed on this particular resource. I can see services running against it, what started, what stopped, and I can start and stop things from there. Patch levels, right? What patches are out there? Are there patches that are missing? In this case, we have 3, so we could go ahead and apply those patches, do what we need to there. Audit recordings, and this one don't have any in here, but this is essentially where I'm able to come in, and if I was as a technician trying to work in here and figure out what the problem was, I can actually remote into this particular resource and start running commands against it, right? Trying to understand what the problem is. And the nice thing is when I do that, it captures that as an audit recording. Now, what that helps for is from a governance perspective, from just a security perspective, from a change management perspective, you're able to understand any changes that had taken place on this. My background in service management, I'd always have the conversation with folks, hey, you've never had an unplanned change, right? Of course, everyone laughs because unplanned changes happen all the time. Well, in this situation, if you did do a change, you're still able to track what happened and be able to tie that back to your change record. Monitors, here's where we're going to talk a little bit more about, once we've discovered all the information and tied it to those business services like we saw, what's actually triggering these things to have alerts that get generated and to show that a service is being impacted. And these are the monitors that we have here. So if I open any of these up, on this AWS device, here are some out-of-the-box monitors that get applied to this based on this resource when it gets onboarded. Now, out of the box with OpsRamp, we have a lot of predefined monitors and monitoring templates, and those can get automatically applied when you onboard infrastructure into the OpsRamp platform. In this case, what we're seeing is, we've got CPU credit balances, CPU utilization, and it's showing, how often we're checking it, what the collector type is, and then, do we actually want to alert on it, yes or no? On these, we're saying no, but on some of these, we actually have them as yes. What's nice here as well is if I come in, I can see all of the individual monitors that are associated with this. And if I scroll over here, I actually have the ability on an individual resource, monitor, or group level, the ability to apply runbook automations. So this is where we start getting into some of the automation we talked about in that use case, where I can come in and say, hey, on a trigger type of a alert that gets kicked off or on a state change, I want to go in and I want to automatically run a script that maybe restarts a service, right? And if that doesn't work, then keep that alert as not fixed, and let's go and do some additional troubleshooting or potentially get someone involved and escalate this to an incident so we can start to work on it. I won't go through all of these, but you can see we're collecting metrics. We actually have credential stores that are hashed out, script activities, so what scripts have run against this, application patches, antivirus, impacted resources, all these kinds of things that really help you to understand what's going on and troubleshoot this resource that's obviously caused an issue with a service that we have. Now, in this case, I'm going to come back to just the overview screen, and I'm going to go into these two critical incidents here, or alerts, excuse me, and I can see we've got a system uptime is critical as well as the CPU usage is at 99.6%. So I'm going to drill into this, and this will actually bring me into the alert record. So now I'm looking at the alert that got triggered based on a monitoring policy that caused that entire service to have a red dot on it and take it down. So again, in a few quick clicks, you can get down to what the root cause is. And here we can see, hey, this is what triggered. Here's all the information on it. If this was correlated to a larger alert, we could see that here as well. But more importantly, what I can see is there's an incident that automatically got created from this. So if I drill into this incident, now I'm able to see, hey, what's happening with this incident? How's it being, handled, and so on and so forth. In this instance, we can see there's been some conversation back and forth, and I can see things like, hey, what's the activity log on this? What resources are being impacted? Here's that server that's being impacted. Do I have any to-dos, checkbox items that I need to do? Things like that. What alerts are on this? All these kinds of things. And what's nice is I can even see a status flow. So I can see when this incident got created, what the escalation policy was that created it. It went from new to open to on hold because we're waiting for something. And I can see the integration log. Now, in this demonstration, we're going to show an integration where this incident actually created an incident over here in ServiceNow. And you can see the same incident right here. It is. It's on hold. We can see the conversation going back and forth. Now, OpsRamp has the ability to integrate with any number of ITSM vendors. So your vendor of choice. We have out-of-the-box integrations with ServiceNow, with Ivanti, with Cherwell, with BMC, Jira, a lot of different integration points out there. And we've integrated with any number of additional ITSM vendors out there. This particular integration is bidirectional, and most of the integrations we do with ITSM are bidirectional. And the reason for that is simple. I want my operations folks to be working here. If anyone is in operations and they're looking at a knock screen or they're trying to troubleshoot what's going on with a network device or whatever it is, OpsRamp should be the hub for that. They should be in there troubleshooting, running scripts, doing all those kinds of things. But as they're troubleshooting, information should be passing over to ServiceNow. And now or whatever that ITSM solution is. The service management folks, on the other hand, should be in this side troubleshooting on their end, right? And so what this allows to happen, this is really the coming together, the core glue of where ITOSM really happens, because now your service management people can be talking to the operations people, but doing it in the console they're used to. And the operations folks, conversely, can be talking to the service management folks from their console. And that data gets passed back and forth to really allow for a cohesive kind of understanding of what the issue is and driving towards a resolution. So with that, what I'm going to do is just switch gears. I want to leave some time for Q&A, but I do want to show just alerts in general here and go into our overall alerts screen. Oops, I apologize. Let me go back into here. And we'll do it from this. I hit the wrong button there. So if I come into alerts, what I can see is all of our alerts, and I'm going to go into my inference view here. And what inferences mean is these are alerts where we've started to do correlation, right? And we have three different types of inferencing that we run out of the box, right? And the first is what we call topology-based or kind of grouping inferencing. And that's what we talked about before. We're collecting what traffic is talking, what's talking to what on the network. And what that allows us to do is say, hey, again, if an ESX host goes down or a switch goes down or whatever it is, what's connected to that? Let's group all those together. The next type of correlation we do is more algorithmic based. So this is where you're able to say, hey, for a common service or for a common IP range or for whatever it is, we want to group those types of alerts together. And then the last is what we call co-occurrence. Now, co-occurrence is where true machine learning is happening, and it's saying, hey, if 5 alerts simultaneously happen, let's create a pattern out of that and then track it. So if we see that pattern over and over again, we know that those 5 alerts are somehow combined, and now we can start to pinpoint root cause. When we see trigger A happen, the next 4 triggers are going to happen, and that helps us determine root cause. So the way that we see this is we're just take any one of these alerts that we have here. If I open this up, here are all the correlated alerts that are tied back to this top level alert. So again, this is where when we went to that initial dashboard and we were able to see the inferencing stats at the top, and we were able to see, hey, we were able to clean up all of this noise that was coming into an environment. This is the way we're doing it. We're correlating things together. We're getting rid of deduplication. So here we're seeing, these are all deduplicated alerts, and we're getting down to what the root cause is. And then we're notifying the right people, escalating that incident to the right group, and ensuring that the right people are getting eyes on it. The last piece that I'll touch on, and then we'll just open this up for a couple additional slides and go into Q&A, is this here. So if I look at my infrastructure, this is where we're bringing everything together. So what you'll notice on the left is we're able to discover and monitor desktops, servers, network devices, VMs, storage, all of your cloud infrastructure, Kubernetes, and even synthetic transactions to web services, right? So being able to go out to your actual applications and say, hey, it was supposed to respond in X number of milliseconds and it didn't. Let's create an alert on that. This is by no means the extensiveness of what we're managing and monitoring. This is purely a demonstration environment, but it gives you an idea of that kind of single pane of glass to be able to drive all of that information into one place. And then lastly, be able to get it back to your services so you understand at a glance what services are up, what are down, and if I need to, again, drill in and be able to pinpoint what the root cause is. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just show two more quick slides, and then we'll open this right up for Q&A to be able to answer any questions that you guys may have. So what we'd like to talk about is kind of the next step here is, identifying challenges and key criteria as you're starting to think about your organization and doing that, that kind of elusive digital transformation. Digital transformation is really driven based on the business need. And it's all around, hey, we need governance. We need visibility. We need to understand where things are. We need to be able to drive it to our services. When there is an issue, we need to understand where it is and escalate it to the right place immediately, right? And then how do we deploy these? Well, OpsRamp is a SaaS-based platform. And as the industry and as the software industry in general is transforming, SaaS continues to be a platform that allows for continual innovation, right? It allows for your operating model to also be in alignment with how you're trying to go to market if you're working in an operating model of recurring. But it really helps to drive towards innovation and constant release cycles, all those kinds of things. When we look at the challenges and criteria here, some of the things to consider are, hey, do I have the ability to take my operations management tool or tools and integrate them with my ITSM tool and get a single ticket thread back and forth? Or today, do I maybe have 4 or 5 different monitoring and operations tools that have to tie in, and that causes challenges? Event correlation and suppression, really just driving down the noise that's out there in the environment and being able to get eyes on the right issues at the right time. Automated incident escalation and remediation, that's huge. The ability to, not even have to have a human interaction and something gets fixed, and it automatically creates the change record and puts it into the service management side. That's something that we actually do with these ITSM integrations. Is we have a change management integration. Didn't have time to get into it today, but we have that. We also have the ability to automatically suppress alerts during change windows, right? So again, it's just driving towards having that single pane of glass where you can see what you need to see at the right time. Obviously, business service impact, I think we hammered on that quite a bit, and just showing when a service is down, how do we make sure that we understand that and get it back up and running as quickly as possible. And then lastly, the ease of doing business, right? Having 2 platforms, IT operations and IT service management, instead of 10, is going to drive towards efficiency. So typically what we do, and again, we're happy to have these conversations as we continue along, is drive into a workshop where we identify use cases. What are the challenges that you're having in that seamless transition from operations to service management? Let's understand that, and let's prove it out. Let's do a tool rationalization. One of our large customers in Las Vegas, they had 17 monitoring tools that they collapsed onto the OpsRamp platform. There's a reason for that, because they realize, hey, I can do it all with one platform, which again streamlines things for me. And then let's make the business case. What we find when we talk to customers, especially around tool rationalization and solving some of those critical business issues, is the ROI is pretty straightforward and speaks for itself. I won't talk through all this, but thinking like a business executive, right? Help to understand how the business can be more productive and profitable. That's going to drive towards that. Be more innovative and optimize costs. The last thing I'll talk about here is just OpsRamp in general. So who we are. We've talked on a lot of this as we've gone through it. But really, what we do at the core is we provide this first key brick, which is visibility, understanding where everything is in a hybrid environment, whether on-prem, cloud, Kubernetes containers, all those kinds of things, and tying it to your business services and then monitoring it. Then we introduce intelligence with AI and machine learning to really get rid of the noise and pinpoint where the issues are. And then lastly, optimization, right? Now is where we're saying, hey, we've identified where that issue is. Let's get it to the right team at the right time so they can go in and do what they need to fix that issue. And as you can see, we integrate with a number of different ITSM vendors. Today we showed ServiceNow, but we have all these different ITSM vendors and have a very open REST API where we can integrate with any others as well. So with that, I'm going to open it up to Q&A. If there's any questions out there, we'd love to field them.
Okay, well, Daniel, we do have a question here, and the question is, does OpsRamp pull data from existing IT ops monitoring and management tools, or can do the job of and displace some of the tools I'm using today?
Yeah, great question. So this is actually one of the questions we get quite a bit. So typically, the way that OpsRamp views this is we can do both, right? We very easily have the ability and have a lot of pre-built integrations with monitoring tools out there to pull that data into OpsRamp, stick it into our alert stream as you've seen, and then run everything else based on those alerts that are coming in. So we could either natively instrument it ourselves and do all the monitoring ourselves, or we can integrate with those third-party solutions to pull it in. Now, what we typically find is when we're talking to customers, there's sometimes maybe a political battle. And that's where we come in and say, hey, we'll integrate to automate, right? And so we'll come in and at first, we'll integrate with those tools. And as you start to see the value of OpsRamp, we can start to peel some of those tools off and maybe not renew them and things like that, where you can actually put them all on OpsRamp. But we're flexible. We want to be able to give you that kind of command center to be able to see everything and take action on it regardless of where those alerts are coming from. We can do it ourselves through OpsRamp, or we can absolutely integrate and pull those feeds in.
Okay, and another question, what is the implementation time for OpsRamp if also integrating with an ITSM platform like Avante?
Yeah, great question. So we have our average implementation time frame is about 2 to 6 weeks. Now, obviously, mileage may vary, right, depending on the complexity of the environment, the complexity of the infrastructure, things like that. But that's kind of our average, because essentially what we're doing is you're going out there and putting gateways out in your environment, pulling back all the data, setting up some additional potential monitoring templates or tweaking some of the ones that are out there, having any integrations built that we need to have built. But again, we have a very open and flexible REST API, and then integrating with tools like ITSM vendors like Avante. Now, with tools like Avante, we already have pre-built integrations. So those go a little bit quicker, not as heavy as a lift. But the average, again, implementation time frame is between 2 and 6 weeks. It's not a heavy lift to get this product in operational. And again, that's one of the beauties of a SaaS-based model.
Another question, how does one get engaged with OpsRamp for a workshop?
Yeah, another good one. So you'll see, I think actually Flycast, you guys may be able to answer this, but there will be communication coming back out to you all where you can absolutely respond. Hey, I'd love to have a demonstration and go through an actual workshop. And our sales from OpsRamp and the great folks over at Flycast will get together and kind of walk you through that. And we'll go through a demonstration and do a workshop to prove out the value.
And I can't answer that. And folks, those of you that are wanting additional information about OpsRamp and getting to workshop, just reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you with that and get you set up. You can call us at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. You can email us at info@flycastpartners.com or go and chat with us live. We have IT experts on our website Monday through Friday during normal business hours. So, yes, we'd be happy to get you set up with a workshop. And if there are any other questions, please feel free to type those in the Q&A section. If you don't feel like asking your question live today and getting it answered live today, go ahead and email it to me. We'll be happy to get an answer for you within the next 48 hours or so. We'll get the answers that you seek. David, did you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. I just really want to thank you for allowing us to share insights with your audience. I really love the partnership that we have with Flycast. And I wanted to reiterate what you just mentioned about reaching out to Flycast team to get engaged with OpsRamp. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Hey, Daniel and David, both, I want to thank you for everything. Great presentation from both of you. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your time today.
All right, folks, thank you for taking time out of your busy day. Once again, reach out to us at 844 Flycast. We'll be happy to help you with any questions or any requests that you may have. And with that being said, until our next presentation, next webinar, enjoy the rest of your week.